Hello and welcome to another episode of Salary Voodoo right here on the MMA Engine channel. I am your host Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode we're going to be breaking down 3 fights from UFC Columbus happening this Saturday, March 26th. We are going to be, like I said, picking 3 fights to break down via Salary Voodoo, so I will be hosting you through the trip, the long, dark, strange trail of Salary Voodoo for a couple of these fights. What is Salary Voodoo? This is a very probability heavy show. So for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to be throwing a lot of numbers, a lot of percentages at you. Basically, it's a different way of constructing lineups, basing, or rather using information that we have, salary history, to determine which salaries make the optimal lineup the most. So without further ado, let's get right into it, guys. First fight that we are choosing. And in fact, before we get started, hit that like on this video. It will really help us out. Be sure you're subscribed to the MMA Engine channel so you don't miss any content from myself, at Betya, Weezy, Uncle Weezy, and Brady, DFS By The Numbers. I was trying to remember their Twitter handles. That's not going to happen this early in the morning, so I apologize for that. But be sure to hit that sub button so you don't miss any content. And guys, for this show, leave a comment. I know we don't have a fight next week, but in 2 weeks, leave a comment for what you want me to break down on Salary Voodoo happening 2 weeks from now. So that's part of the fun. We don't know what the salaries are going to be, obviously. So go ahead and give me a fight you want me to break down, about 5-minute breakdown, and we will get it done next time. So now, business is finished. Let's get into the voodoo. First fight that we are going to cover here, Askarov. Excuse me, got a little something in my throat. Askarov going against Kai Kara France. Now, this one is going to be at flyweight. Let's take a look at some numbers from the flyweight division. Fighters from the flyweight fights, let's see, they've been used 48 times. Flyweight fights, or sorry, nope, that's wrong. That's women's flyweight. Men's flyweight, 33 fights since January 1st, 2021. Every number I'm referencing in this show will go back to January 1st, 2021. Before that, DraftKings had different scoring, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of boring words, but just know that, January 1st, 2021. So 33 fights for flyweights. 16 fighters have made the optimal lineup in that weight class. That is a 48.48 percentage, not the best. You want it to be over 50. Several weight classes are, in fact, over 50. Flyweight, men's flyweight not being one of them. This is going to be the 10th fight of the night. How does the 10th fight of the night fare, you ask? Well, it is the best fight of the night to target, it turns out. 48 times since that date I mentioned, we've had 10 fights at least, or there's been, a 10th fight rather on the card. 31 times that fight has made the optimal lineup, one of the fighters. That is a 64.58 percentage, guys. That is the best possible number on the entire card, and it's not really even close. The 10th fight of the night is the best fight of the night to play from a probability standpoint on DraftKings. Now, we'll get into the salary. 9,100 for Askarov, 7,100 for Kai Kara France. We'll start with the Kara France side. 7,100, a very bad salary to play. 47 times it's been used. It's only made the optimal lineup 6 times in that time span. That is a 12.77 optimal percentage, one of the lowest out of all salaries that exist on DraftKings. 23.4% win percentage for the $7,100 salary, so not very good there. When it does win, however, which is only 23%, it makes the optimal at a 54.5% rate. That is pretty good, but for the 7,200 is better, 7,300 is better, 7,069. I mean, all these salaries are better in wins at making the optimal. Just because they're so low that if they actually put up a decent score and win the fight, it's pretty, clear they're going to make the optimal if a bunch of high salary fighters put up big scores as well. So that's why you get these inflated numbers down towards the bottom. Let's see, the salary pair of 9,100 and 7,100 makes the optimal lineup. Get this, second worst number on the card, you guys, 34% of the time. That's it. So a pretty bad salary pair to play. Lastly, the $9,100 salary, when it wins, scores 96.93 points. So pretty low for that range, the salary range, especially in the top end. You're getting 96 points per win. When 7,100 wins, it puts up an abysmal 91.43 points, a very low score there. So Let's see. To settle that, the salary voodoo for Askarov and Kai Kara France, 9,100 and 7,100. The salary voodoo says this fight is cursed. Do not play it. Does not make the optimal lineup very much. Askarov probably is going to win this fight. He scores like 70 some points a win. So I'm right in that range where I will be fading, especially the high end of this salary, the 9,100 end. So cursed salary, 91 and 71. So next fight, we will go to one of our commenters from last week, Mr. Drail, making the show again. Mr. Drail, he chose Chris Gutierrez and Danaa Batgarel. Great fight for DraftKings. Let's check it out. Two guys that aren't very wrestle heavy, both stand and bang type guys. Let's see, Batgarel, Danaa with 3 knockouts in a row, first round. Gutierrez, a big striker in his own right. Let's get into it, guys. We'll start with the weight class. Bantamweight weight class. A pretty good weight class to target. 75 fights, made the optimal 39 of those 75. That is over 50%. In fact, it's exactly 52%. So a pretty good weight class to target, bantamweight. This is going to be the 5th fight of the night, I believe. Yes, 5th fight of the night. So that's been used 52 times. It's made the optimal lineup 23 out of 52 times. That is a 44.23 percentage. Not the best 5th fight of the night, honestly. Not a great fight to target. It is the lowest, in fact, 6 and below. It's the lowest one out of 6 and below. So not a great fight to target. Let's move on to the salaries here. 7,700 for Gutierrez, 8,500 for Danaa. Let's start with Danaa here. 8,500 has been used 51 times. That's the most out of any salary, tied for the most, actually. It's made the optimal lineup in 15 of those 51 times, 29.41%. It has a win percentage of only 47.06%. That is one of the lowest for a favorite salary, meaning, you know, a salary that's above 8,200 or 8,200 or above. It's got the second lowest win percentage, less than 50%. That is not great. But when it does win, 62.5% of the time, so 5 out of 8 wins, it makes the optimal lineup. So it is a pretty good salary there, 8,500 for Batgarel. Let's see, the $8,500 scores in a win, 98.18 points per win. That is the highest between 82 and 88. So it is carrying the weight there for sure. Love the $8,500 salary. 7,700. Let's take a look at that for Chris Gutierrez. It's been used 51 times, same as the 85, and it's made the optimal lineup 4 more times than its counterpart. 19 out of 51. That is a 37.25 percentage, guys, straight up. That is the second best out of all salaries on the entire DraftKings lineup. In fact, it's the highest out of all salaries being used if it's 20 or more times. It's the highest, 37.25%. I hope that made sense. I'm sorry. It has a 52, almost 53% win percentage here. That is fantastic. The best, well, second best for a dog salary. And in those wins, it makes the optimal lineup 59.26% of the time. An absolutely fantastic number. 7,700 is one of the best salary, is one of the best dog salaries you can play, but really one of the best salaries you can play overall. When it wins, we'll see what it scores here. 93.51, so not the best number, but not terrible either. The salary pair, when paired together, 85 and 77, makes the optimal lineup the best rate possible, Mr. Drail. You chose a great fight. 66.67% of the time, guys. 2 out of 3 times this salary pairs together. One of them makes the optimal lineup. And in this fight, we have 2 heavy-handed stand-up strikers that are ready to throw down. So I think one of these guys is going to get knocked out. Salary Voodoo says that is also the case. And whoever wins is probably going to make the optimal lineup. So, Mr. Drail, you picked a great fight. Salary Voodoo on Chris Gutierrez and Danaa Batgarel is blessed. This is a blessed fight. Be sure to play this fight. I'll be heavy, probably on a little heavier on the Batgarel side, but I will have both sides going for sure in my roster. Now, we will finish this up, guys. We'll keep it at about 15 minutes. We might as well do it. The heavyweight main event. Might as well. It is the biggest fight on the card. Curtis Blaydes going against Chris Daukaus. We will start with the weight class. Heavyweight, as you would expect, been used 45 times. One of the fighters has made the optimal lineup in 25 out of those 45 fights. That is a 55.56 percentage. That's the second best out of all weight classes. Heavyweight, obviously a good weight class to target. Very clear, or for clear reasons, I should say. The 13th fight of the night. Let's check that number. We've had 13 fights 21 times. The 13th fight has made the optimal lineup 13 times, in fact. So not a very unlucky number in this case for a 61.9%. That is the second best percentage out of all fight numbers. So 13th fight of the night, a fantastic fight to play. So mix that with heavyweight, guys, and we are off to a great start. Let's get into the salaries. 9,200 for Curtis Blaydes, 7,200 or 7,000, sorry, 7,000 for Chris Daukaus. We'll start with the Daukaus side. Let's take a look at that underdog salary. 43 times the $7,000 salary has been used. It's made the optimal lineup 9 times. That is a 20.93 percentage. It has a win rate of just 25.58%. Not good at all. So a very tough salary for Mr. Daukaus here. But when it does win, the best win percentage or optimal percentage in wins, 81.82%. So it's pretty clear, if Chris, if the $7,000 salary wins 4 out of 5 times in those wins, it's going to make the optimal lineup. So a great look for the $7,000 salary. Let's see here. What else was I looking at? It scores, when it wins, 97.45 points. So one of the higher point totals in wins out of the entire lower end of salary. So a pretty good salary to play, 7,000. The only problem is it has a very low win percentage, as you would expect. It is a pretty big underdog salary. We will go on to the 9,200 for Mr. Curtis Blaydes. 9,200 has been used 41 times, and it's made the optimal lineup just one more time than the $7,000 counterpart. Just 10 times, you guys. 24.39%. It has a huge win percentage, 73.17. So almost 3 out of 4 times it's played, it wins. But it only makes the optimal in 33.33% of those wins. So 1 out of 3 times. So not a great number there. There are a few better salaries, especially the 9,400, 9,500, and 9,000 to be specific, are all better from a probability aspect than the $9,200 salary. What does that salary score, you might be asking? Not too great, 96.35, whereas the other salaries I mentioned, 94 and 95, both score over 110 points, and the 9,000 is also over the 9,200 as well. In fact, 9,200 is the lowest salary or lowest DraftKings points per win from the salaries, all the way from 96 to 89. So a pretty low average for the most part. When these two are paired together, 9,200 and 7,000, one of them makes the optimal lineup at 46.34% of the time. That is a fairly low number, especially when the last fight we talked about, 85 and 77, was at 66.67. So we're 20 points down from that. Not very close at all. So from a Salary Voodoo perspective, it's pretty close. The salaries themselves I don't like, but the weight class and the fight order I do, so it kind of balances out. I'm going with a Salary Voodoo of Blessed. I'm going to give this one a Blessed fight. We also have 5 rounds to work with, so that kind of plays into my rating for this one as well. So, guys, we covered it. The 3 fights. Askarov, Kaikara, France was cursed. Mr. Drail's pick, Gutierrez and Danaa backed Gurel. That was a very blessed fight. And we finished with the Blaydes and Daukaus heavyweight main event, leaning on the blessed side, but just barely. So, guys, that's going to do it. I want to thank you for sticking with me for this show. I hope I gave you an interesting perspective on how to construct your lineups. And I absolutely love getting into these numbers, so I will keep this coming. Be sure, again, like this video and comment down below of which matchup you would like me to speak on 2 weeks from now when we're going into the next UFC card. I don't even know when or what it is, if it's the pay-per-view. I honestly don't remember, but I do know I am excited to get into it in a couple of weeks after a nice relaxing week off. So again, Thank you guys very much for joining me. Like and subscribe to the MMA Engine channel, and be sure on Friday, stick around for me and Lou Betya, Monk and Lou's happy hour, coming at you 30 minutes earlier than usual, 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern time this Friday, tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Please join us as we break down all 13 fights from a betting and DraftKings perspective before UFC Columbus kicks off. So again, I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy. See you guys.